Would you be my fake girlfriend?
What happens when a wealthy millionaire hires a fake girlfriend to maintain his image, but she reveals a secret that flips his life upside down? This isn't a story about love or lies, it's about control, manipulation, and the terrifying consequences of playing with someone's trust. In today's video, we dive into the twisted tale of a millionaire who, out of desperation, hires a woman to pretend to be his girlfriend. It's supposed to be simple, a business arrangement with no emotions involved. But as time passes, everything changes. What begins as a harmless setup soon spirals out of control. The woman, hired to play a role, unexpectedly begins to unravel a truth that shatters the millionaire's carefully constructed life. The millionaire, once secure in his power and wealth, now faces a woman who holds the key to his darkest secrets. What was meant to be a charade quickly becomes a dangerous game of manipulation, secrets, and revelation. Every step he takes to maintain control only leads him further down a path of destruction. What happens next will test his limits, his trust, and his ability to keep everything he's built from falling apart. It's a cold night in the city. The skyline twinkles with artificial light, but inside his penthouse, everything feels dark. The million-dollar view from the top floor does little to ease the unease that fills the room. He stands by the window, staring into the city, the hum of the traffic below drowning out his thoughts. For someone used to control, someone who has always been able to buy his way out of trouble, this situation is unlike anything he's faced before. The woman he hired, a beautiful stranger, was supposed to be just that, a tool. But there's something about her, the way she speaks, the way she looks at him. There's a certain calm in her eyes that unsettles him. She's playing a role, but it's clear she's not the one being manipulated here. Inside, a storm brews, thick with tension. He watches her every move with awareness that grows each day. Her smile, though charming, hides something deeper, and the words that she's said, they stick with him even when she's not around. There's more to me than you think. Is she just a hired actress, or does she know something he hasn't realized, something he hasn't seen coming? But what if this arrangement isn't just about appearances? What if it's about something more, something that goes far beyond the surface of their relationship? What if this woman, who was supposed to be his pawn, is actually the one pulling the strings? There's a truth buried deep within their interactions, something that neither of them is prepared to face. Stay with me, because this is where everything changes. The penthouse is silent, save for the faint hum of the city far below. Its sleek, modern design is bathed in the cold, sterile light of the moon, its glass walls framing the sprawling urban landscape outside. But inside, the room feels anything but peaceful. The luxury surrounding them, the plush furniture, the gleaming marble floors, the art adorning the walls, does little to mask the tension that lingers in the air like smoke. At the far end of the room, the millionaire stands by the window, gazing out at the city lights. His back is straight, his posture rigid. His usual confidence seems hollow tonight, as though the walls of his fortress have begun to close in around him. The view from the penthouse is breathtaking, but his eyes never seem to fully see it. Instead, they are fixed on something distant, something beyond the surface. She sits across the room, her figure draped in the soft glow of the ambient light. Her posture is relaxed, but there's a sharpness in her eyes, a quiet intensity that makes him uneasy. She's the one who's supposed to be pretending, but somehow, it feels like she's the one in control. For a man accustomed to having the world bend to his will, it's a strange feeling. This helplessness, this unsettling presence she exudes. And yet, it's not her silence that unnerves him. It's the way she watches him, as if she knows something he doesn't. As if she's the one who holds the power, not him. He feels the weight of the night pressing in on him, the knowledge that his carefully crafted life is beginning to slip from his grasp. He's always been in control, his empire, his relationships, his reputation, everything falls into line with his desires. But now, with her in his life, nothing feels certain anymore. He's hired her to play a role, to fill a void in his world. But what's slowly dawning on him is that she isn't like anyone he's met before. She's not some innocent girl who can be bought with money, not someone who'll simply follow his lead. She's a challenge, and that's the part that gnaws at him, the realization that she's not simply pretending. There's something deeper beneath her calm demeanor, something he can't quite decipher. Every word, every glance, every slight movement feels like a puzzle he can't solve, and it drives him mad. She, on the other hand, remains calm, almost too calm. She knows exactly what she's doing, but there's something about her that remains an enigma. She hasn't let her emotions surface, hasn't shown the slightest hint of weakness or uncertainty. To him, this is both intriguing and frustrating. He knows nothing about her past, her motivations, yet she holds his attention in a way no one else ever has. She's always quiet, but there's a tension in her eyes, a knowing that makes him uneasy. He has never felt so vulnerable, so exposed. The silence stretches on, thick and oppressive. He can feel the pull of the room, her presence pushing against him, making the space feel smaller, heavier. Finally, unable to stand the stillness any longer, he turns towards her. His voice breaks the silence, sharp and urgent, laced with frustration. "What do you want from me?" he demands, the words coming out in a rush. The question isn't just about her motives, it's about everything. What does she want from him? Why is she here? What game is she playing? For the first time, her gaze shifts, meeting his with a steadiness that sends a shiver down his spine. She doesn't flinch, doesn't shrink away from his outburst. Instead, she rises to her feet slowly, deliberately, and for a moment, she seems taller than he remembers, her presence commanding the space between them. The tension in the room is palpable. His jaw clenches as he waits for her response, certain that she'll say something that will either crush him or offer him the answer he's desperately searching for. She steps closer to him, not in anger, but with a quiet confidence. And then, she speaks, her voice soft but firm, a weight behind each word. "I don't want anything from you," she says. "You're the one who's lost everything." Her words hang in the air like a challenge, and the room seems to grow colder, the silence more suffocating. His heart beats harder in his chest as the truth behind her words begins to settle. There's something in her eyes, something that speaks of secrets buried deep, things he hasn't considered, hasn't thought about. The shock of her response hits him like a punch to the gut. He opens his mouth, but the words don't come. For a brief moment, he wonders if this is all part of her game, a clever manipulation to get under his skin. But then the weight of her words settles in, and he realizes something else, that maybe she's not the one playing him. Maybe he's been playing himself all along. His mind races, trying to make sense of what she's said. "I've lost everything." How could that be true? He still has his wealth, his status, his life, the things that matter most to him. But there's something about her tone, something in the quiet finality of her words, that strikes a chord. The game they are playing, whatever it is, isn't about control. It's about something much deeper, something more dangerous. And for the first time, he's starting to realize that he may not be the one pulling the strings after all. The stakes are higher than he thought. She's not just here to play a part. She's here to reveal something he doesn't even know he's been hiding from himself. What happens next will decide everything, how far he'll go to protect what's left of his empire, and whether he can hold on to any semblance of control over his own life. As he stands there, staring at her, the weight of the truth starts to sink in. She's no longer just a pawn in his game. She's the queen, and he's the one who's been trapped in check. This is just the beginning of a story that will force both characters to confront their deepest fears, their darkest secrets, and the high price of manipulation. The tension has only just begun, and with every passing moment, the stakes rise higher. The true test is yet to come. Days pass, but the tension between them only grows. The millionaire, once so confident in his ability to control every aspect of his life, is now caught in a storm of confusion and frustration. She remains as calm and enigmatic as ever, never once betraying an emotion or hinting at her true intentions. But it's not just her silence that unnerves him, it's the fact that he can't seem to crack her facade, can't get under her skin the way he does with everyone else. Every time he tries to push her boundaries, she remains just out of his reach, like an elusive ghost. She's not afraid of him, not intimidated by his wealth or power. She answers his questions with the same controlled calm, never revealing too much, but always leaving him wanting more. What's worse is that, with every passing day, he finds himself more fascinated by her than he wants to admit. His mind races with questions. Who is she really? What does she want? And Most terrifying of all, what happens if she's not playing the same game he is? His frustration grows with each encounter. The more he tries to impose his control, the more he feels as if he's losing ground. The situation is spiraling out of control, and he's starting to wonder if he's the one being played. The power dynamic has shifted in ways he never anticipated. He's not the one holding the reins anymore, she is. His world, so carefully crafted around the illusion of control, begins to unravel as she continues to slip through his fingers. He starts to question everything he's ever believed about power, about control, about what truly matters. And in the quiet moments, when he's alone, the creeping doubt settles in. What if he's not the one in charge of this situation? The inevitable confrontation comes one evening when he can no longer hold in his frustration. They are sitting in the living room, surrounded by the sleek, expensive furnishings that define his world. The city hums beneath them, the lights outside casting long shadows across the room. He watches her, unable to tear his gaze away, as she stands by the window, her back to him. She's just so composed. Her calmness is maddening, like she's always 10 steps ahead of him. He opens his mouth to speak, his voice clipped with frustration. "You think you know everything about me, don't you?" He spits out, the words dripping with anger. "You think you have me figured out, that you can just walk in here and take control like you own the place? Well, you don't. I'm the one with power here." Her shoulders tense slightly at the words, but she doesn't turn around. She doesn't flinch. It's almost as if she's heard this all before, as if she's been waiting for this moment. With deliberate slowness, she turns to face him, a small smile tugging at the corner of her lips. There's something almost predatory in her expression, as if she's been waiting for this argument, for this exact moment of release. "You have no idea who I really am," she says, her voice laced with sarcasm, her words sharp but measured. "You think I'm just some woman you hired to be your pretty little trophy, but you're wrong. You've been playing me like a pawn in your game, but you have no idea what's coming next." Her words hit him harder than he's prepared for. His chest tightens as the weight of her challenge sinks in. It's like a punch to the gut. For a moment, he's speechless. The room seems to shrink around him, the air thick with the tension between them. He's always been the one who sets the rules, who dictates the terms of every encounter. But now, for the first time, he's not sure where he stands. She's no longer just a pawn in his game, she's an opponent. And he's losing. She steps closer, her eyes never leaving his. "You think you're in control? You think you can buy your way out of anything?" She pauses, letting the words settle in, then adds softly, "I'm not here to play by your rules. I'm here to make you face the truth." His breath catches in his throat. Her words hang in the air, as heavy as lead. This isn't just a game anymore. It's something deeper, something far more dangerous. As she speaks, he begins to feel the realization creeping in, the sickening, inevitable truth. He's not in control. Not anymore. She's been in control this entire time, pulling the strings from behind the scenes, playing him like a puppet. And worse, he's been so consumed by his own arrogance and belief in his superiority that he never saw it coming. His mind flashes back to all the little moments, her calm responses, the way she never let him get a rise out of her, the way she seemed to know exactly how to push his buttons. The entire time, he thought he was the one calling the shots, but now it's clear, she's been the mastermind all along. In that moment, he realizes something he hasn't wanted to admit to himself. He's been played. He's not the one with all the power. He's just another piece in her game, another pawn to be sacrificed in the name of something much bigger. The revelation crashes over him like a wave, suffocating him with its intensity. The world he's built, the empire he's spent years constructing, suddenly feels fragile, like it could crumble at any moment. His frustration boils over. He takes a step toward her, his fists clenched at his sides, but she doesn't flinch. She stands there, unyielding, her eyes locked onto his, daring him to make the next move. The stakes have never been higher. What started as a simple arrangement, an exchange of services for money, has now spiraled into something far more dangerous. Every moment he spends with her only deepens the realization that he's in over his head. The power dynamic has shifted irrevocably. She holds all the cards now, and is left to watch as the foundation of his carefully constructed life cracks and crumbles beneath him. The room feels suffocating, the air thick with tension. The stakes are no longer just about winning or losing, this is about survival. And with every new piece of information, the danger grows. His wealth, his reputation, his very identity, everything is on the line. What began as a game of manipulation and control has now become a fight for his life, his sanity, and everything he's ever known. And as she stands there, watching him with an unreadable expression, he realizes that there's no way out. She's not just playing for the upper hand, she's playing for everything. And he's running out of time. The game has changed, and it's more dangerous than he ever imagined. The tension in the penthouse is palpable. Every passing second feels like an eternity. The weight of the silence presses against him, thick and suffocating. The walls, once a symbol of luxury and comfort, now feel like they are closing in around him. His mind races, trying to make sense of everything that has happened so far, but the pieces refuse to fit together. She's been nothing like what he expected. She's not just playing a role, she's playing him. He watches her from across the room, sitting on the plush leather sofa, her posture relaxed but her eyes sharp, cutting through him with a gaze that seems to strip him bare. She hasn't said much in the past few days, only the occasional word, each one laced with a kind of knowing. It's as if she can see right through him, and the realization of it is starting to gnaw at him. He can't control this situation anymore. He can't even predict what she'll do next. Every interaction with her feels like a puzzle he can't solve. He wants to break the silence, to assert his dominance, but there's an undeniable fear inside him. What if he's wrong? What if everything he thought he knew about the game they are playing is a lie? The fear of the unknown grows stronger with every moment, and the longer he waits, the heavier the weight of that fear becomes. There's something about her calm demeanor that unsettles him, something in the way she watches him without blinking. It's as if she knows what he's thinking, what he's about to say, before he says it. The power dynamic has shifted so subtly that he hasn't even realized it until now. And now, he's drowning in his own realization. His empire, the control he thought he had, is crumbling, and all she's done is stand there, waiting. The walls are closing in, and with every breath he takes, the fear of what's to come begins to overwhelm him. Then, the moment comes. She stands from the sofa with a fluid, deliberate motion, and walks toward him. He watches her every move, unable to tear his gaze away. There's something in the air between them now, an undeniable tension that makes his skin prickle. His heart beats faster, the anticipation of what she's about to say hanging like a storm cloud overhead. She stops in front of him, her eyes locking with his. There's no warmth in her gaze, only an icy, unyielding certainty. "You're not the only one who's lost everything," she says, her voice soft but firm, like the calm before a violent storm. His breath catches in his throat. The words hit him like a jolt, a shock to his system. He opens his mouth to respond, but the words don't come. He can't speak. He's frozen, caught in the web of her eyes, trying to process what she's just said. She takes a step closer, her presence overwhelming. The silence between them stretches out, thick and heavy. And then, she delivers the bombshell that flips everything on its head. "You think I'm just a woman you hired to pretend to be your girlfriend, but you've underestimated me. My father lost everything because of you," she says, the words cutting through the air like a blade. The world seems to stop. The room falls away. His chest tightens, his heart pounding in his ears. For a moment, all he can hear is the ringing in his head, the deafening silence of the revelation sinking in. Her father. He was the one who ruined her family. All this time, he thought he was in control, thought this was just some game, a simple arrangement between two people. But the truth comes crashing down around him. This is personal. This is revenge. His legs feel weak beneath him, as if the ground has been ripped out from under him. He stumbles back, his mind racing, scrambling to process the weight of her words. His world, once so solid and unshakable, is now a shattered mess of pieces he can't put back together. She watches him closely, her eyes unwavering, studying his reaction as if she's waiting for him to crack. And in that moment, he does. His hands shake at his sides, his heart thudding in his chest. He never saw this coming, never imagined that someone like her, someone so calm, so composed, could be holding such a devastating secret. Her father, the man who once had everything, the man who had his entire empire at his feet, the man he ruined, crushed under the weight of his own ambition. He feels sick, A wave of guilt floods over him, overwhelming and suffocating. He's always prided himself on being untouchable, on being the one who controlled every situation. But now, he's the one who's been played. He's the one who's been outsmarted. And for the first time in his life, he feels powerless. He wants to scream, to lash out, but all he can do is stand there, frozen in shock as the truth sinks in. Her gaze never wavers. She's watching him break, watching him crumble under the weight of his own actions. The woman he thought was just a pretty face, a simple pawn in his game, has become his worst nightmare. He wants to speak, to apologize, to make this right, but the words die in his throat. It's too late for apologies, too late for redemption. Everything he thought he knew about this woman, about the world he built, is falling apart. Everything between them shifts in an instant. The connection they once shared, however false and transactional it may have been, is gone. The bond that tied them together, however fragile it was, has snapped, and the room between them now feels colder than ever. He's no longer the one with the upper hand. She's no longer just the hired girlfriend. She's the one with all the power now, and the realization is crushing. She doesn't need him. She never did. This was never about money, never about a fake relationship. This was about revenge. And for the first time in their twisted dynamic, she's the one who's holding the cards. The air feels thick with the weight of the moment, the silence pressing down on him like an anvil. He wants to fight back, to regain control, but he knows, deep down, that is lost. This isn't just about business or manipulation anymore, it's personal. She turns to walk away, her steps deliberate, calm. Her back is to him now, and his left standing there, shattered and broken, unable to move. For the first time in his life, he doesn't know what to do. The woman who was supposed to be his pawn has turned the tables on him, and there's nothing he can do to stop her. He's lost everything, and as she walks away, leaving him in the ruins of his own making, he realizes the cold truth: nothing he has, nothing he's built, will ever be the same again. The penthouse that once felt like a fortress now feels like a tomb. The walls, once gleaming with luxury and sophistication, seem to close in on him with every breath he takes. The plush furniture, the expensive artwork, the sweeping views of the city, all of it now feels hollow, like a stage set for a play that's already reached its tragic end. He's standing at the edge of his world, staring out of the glass windows as the city lights blink beneath him, but it's no longer the view he's used to. It feels distant, unreachable. The lights, once symbols of success, now mock him, reminding him of everything he's losing, everything he's already lost. The guilt gnaws at him like a constant presence, suffocating him. Every moment spent in her presence is a reminder of his past mistakes. His mind races back to the moment she spoke those words that shattered everything. "My father lost everything because of you." That one sentence has haunted him, replaying over and over, each time cutting deeper. How did he miss it? How did he fail to see what was right in front of him? He thought he could control everything: his wealth, his empire, his relationships. But the truth has shifted everything, and now nothing feels stable. His empire is crumbling before his eyes. The deals he thought were ironclad are starting to fall apart as key partners begin to pull away. He has been receiving cryptic emails, warnings from those he once counted on. His wealth, his power, his influence, they've all been undermined, little by little, as if invisible hands are tearing down the very foundation of his existence. It doesn't stop there. His personal life is no better. His friends avoid him, sensing that something is wrong. His social circle, once full of admirers and sycophants, now seems distant. And at home, it's even worse. She watches him with a quiet, knowing gaze, and every word that comes from her mouth feels like a reminder of how far he's fallen. She's everywhere now, her presence inescapable, in the spaces of his mind, in his business, in his every thought. The weight of what he did to her father hangs over him like a dark cloud. Every action, every decision now seems tainted by the knowledge that he's destroyed someone's life, and that person is standing in front of him, calmly watching as his life unravels. There's no escape, no place to hide from the truth that she's planted inside him. The antagonist's power. She no longer plays by his rules. She never did. Now, the tables have turned. The power he once held in his hands has slipped through his fingers, and she's taken control. The woman who was once just a hired actress, a mere tool in his game of manipulation, has become the one calling the shots. She's methodical, patient, taking her time, carefully dismantling everything he thought he controlled. Every move she makes feels deliberate, each word she speaks is calculated. She knows what she's doing, and he's powerless to stop her. He watches helplessly as she walks across the room, her every step echoing in his mind like a drumbeat of impending doom. The air between them is thick with the weight of the power shift. She's no longer the passive, obedient woman he once believed her to be. She's a force, an immovable object that's slowly crushing him beneath her will. The desperation is consuming him now. He can't stand it anymore, the feeling of losing control. He's a man who's spent his entire life making the world bend to his will. But with each passing day, he feels like he's slipping further and further into a spiral of helplessness. He tries everything to regain some semblance of control. He apologizes, but his words sound empty even to him. He promises to make things right, to fix everything, anything to get her to trust him again, to undo the damage he's done. But she's no longer the person he once knew. The woman standing in front of him now is cold, distant, and unyielding. She doesn't react to his pleas. She doesn't flinch when he raises his voice in frustration. She simply watches him, her gaze unwavering, like she's waiting for him to break. And break he does. His mind races with possibilities. If he can just offer her more money, more power, more security. But even as the thoughts race through his head, he knows it won't work. It never works. He's tried to buy his way out of problems before, but this isn't something that can be solved with money. This isn't a game he can win by making the right moves or offering the right incentives. She's no longer playing for the same things. She's playing for something bigger, something far more personal. And he's losing. He watches as she moves around the room, calm and composed, as if she's the one in control of everything. The more he watches her, the more he realizes that he's just a pawn in her game, and he has no idea how to get out. His world is falling apart. His empire, his reputation, his sense of self. It's all slipping away, piece by piece, and the worst part is, she's not even trying to fight back. She's not angry. She's not vengeful. She's just quiet, calm, in control. The more desperate he gets, the more she stands there, unshaken. And in that silence, in that stillness, he realizes the devastating truth: he's already lost. The tension in the air is palpable. The penthouse, which once felt like the pinnacle of success and achievement, now feels like a cage. Every inch of the space echoes with the weight of all that has transpired, and every surface feels cold and uninviting. He stands at the center of it, paralyzed by the realization that this is the moment when everything will change. His world is already crumbling, but it's in this moment that the final destruction will unfold. There's no turning back now. His spent weeks, maybe months, trying to salvage something, anything, from the wreckage of his life. He's tried to fix the broken relationships, tried to repair his empire, but everything feels like sand slipping through his fingers. Every attempt to regain control has failed, and every time he thinks he's starting to understand, she pulls further away. Now, here they are, alone in the penthouse, the woman who has destroyed everything he thought he had, the woman who's held the key to his undoing, stands before him. His heart pounds in his chest as the door swings open, and she steps inside. She's as calm as ever, almost disturbingly so. She's not afraid, not worried, just waiting for him to make his move. This is it, the final confrontation. He can feel the sweat on his palms, the heat of his body radiating with a mixture of desperation and rage. His voice cracks as he speaks, each word coming out like a plea, a demand, a challenge. "You've ruined me." His words are sharp, slicing through the tense air between them. Everything I've built, it's all gone. Do you realize that? You've taken it all." She doesn't flinch. She doesn't even blink. She simply stands there, her gaze steady, her posture unwavering. "You're the one who let it all slip away," she says quietly, almost coldly. "You never cared about anyone except yourself. You never cared about my father. You never cared about anyone except for your empire. And look at you now, stripped bare, nothing left but your pride." The words sting, cutting deeper than any physical wound could. He feels it in his chest, that familiar ache, the weight of his own guilt crashing down on him. But he's not ready to give in. Not yet. You don't get it. He steps forward, his voice rising, fueled by anger and frustration. I never wanted this. I didn't know it would come to this. You think I wanted to hurt you? I didn't ask for any of this. She shakes her head slowly, her lips curling into a faint, almost sorrowful smile. No, she says softly, you didn't ask, but you took. You took my father's life, my family's legacy, and you took everything that mattered to me, and you thought you could buy your way out of it. But you can't. You never could. His knees weaken beneath him, and for a moment, he wonders if he's going to collapse. The truth hits him harder than any blow he's ever received. She's right. He never cared enough. He never thought about the consequences of his actions. He thought money could fix everything, that his wealth and power could protect him from the truth. But now, he's faced with the reality that it was all just smoke and mirrors, a false sense of control built on the destruction of others. Please, he whispers, his voice breaking, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know how much you were hurting. Her gaze softens, but only for a moment. It's brief, like a flicker of something long buried. Then, just as quickly, the hardness returns. It doesn't matter, she says. It's too late for apologies now. She steps closer, her voice cold but resolute. You had a chance to make things right, she continues. But you chose greed. You chose power. You chose everything that would destroy you in the end. And now you'll live with that. The words hit him like a punch to the stomach. He's breathless, his mind racing, but his thoughts are muddled, too jumbled to make sense of. He wants to argue, to make her understand, to fix what he's done. But there's nothing left to fix. He's a man on the edge, broken and desperate. He stumbles back a few steps, his legs unsteady, the weight of everything crashing down on him. The man who once ruled an empire, the man who controlled everything in his life with money and power, is now nothing. A shell, a hollow, empty vessel. He's destroyed. She's destroyed him. The realization comes in a rush, too late to change anything, too late to undo the damage. He can feel the full weight of his mistakes pressing on him, and there's no escape, no way to outrun the consequences of his actions. His eyes meet hers one final time. There's no pity in her gaze, no remorse, just finality. She's done. She's taken what she came for, and now she's walking away. The power has shifted, and he's left with nothing but the wreckage of his life. You'll never be the man you were, she says, her voice distant, like she's already moved on from this moment. The world won't forgive you, and neither will I. And with that, she turns and walks out the door. He stands there, alone, a broken man, character's reflection on the journey. The silence that fills the room is deafening. His breath is ragged, his chest tight with the weight of his emotions. He stares at the door where she just walked out, knowing that it's the last time he'll ever see her. He's not the man he once was. Not anymore. He wasn't always this way. Once, there was a time when he believed he could have it all: wealth, power, respect. He thought he was untouchable, invincible. But he was wrong. He had everything and yet nothing. As he stands there, looking out over the city that once felt like his kingdom, he realizes the extent of his loss. The empire he built with his own hands is now in ruins. His wealth, his influence, none of it matters anymore. His actions have cost him everything he ever truly valued. He thinks back to the moments he took for granted, the relationships he neglected, the people he hurt, the lives he destroyed along the way. And in that quiet, crushing realization, he understands the true cost of his greed and arrogance. He thought he could control everything, but he couldn't even control himself. He thought he could buy his way out of any situation, but in the end, money could never fix what was broken inside him. He's no longer the man who once stood tall in his penthouse, looking out at the world with a sense of power and entitlement. He's a broken man, forced to live with the consequences of his choices, with the aftermath of his mistakes. The empire is gone. His reputation is shattered, and the woman he thought he could control is long gone, leaving him with nothing but the cold, bitter truth. The climb to the top may have been steep, but the fall is even steeper. And now, with nothing left but the remnants of a life he once thought was his, he faces the final truth: there is no turning back. In the end, the millionaire's empire crumbled, his relationship shattered, and the woman he thought he could manipulate exposed the harsh realities of his greed and arrogance. What started as a facade soon unraveled into devastation, leaving him to face the emotional and psychological toll of his actions. His pursuit of power cost him everything: his wealth, his reputation, and most of all, his sense of self. So, what does this story teach us? Power, control, and manipulation may seem like tools to get ahead in life, but in the end, they are hollow. None of these things matter when faced with the real consequences of our actions. The journey the millionaire took wasn't just about losing money, it was about losing his humanity. The true cost of his choices wasn't financial, it was emotional, and it may very well be something he can never recover from. The final question remains: can he ever recover from this destruction? Or is he doomed to live with the weight of his guilt and the ruins of a life he can never rebuild? That's for you to decide. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think? Is there a chance for redemption, or does he deserve to live with the consequences forever? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. You won't want to miss the next chapter in this saga. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.